Okay guys, so we've already talked about Shimano's 2018 Icast offerings, so now it's time to move on to Daiwa's 2018 Icast showings. And it was a pretty big year for Daiwa, if not a slightly controversial one. But before we get into that, I want to show you guys something that I found, and that is concerning the braking system of the new Shimano SLX baitcaster. Now, I previously said in my other video that it was going to be the old style 6-pin system that the CURADO E's had and whatnot, but according to this picture I saw on Tackle Tour's Instagram, so courtesy of Tackle Tour, it looks like they are going with the new style brake shoes that kind of fly out, but they're going with 6 shoes instead of 4, which would be greatly needed because these new shoes do have less braking force. So I just wanted to clarify that for you guys before we dive into Daiwa's new offerings. Okay guys, so the first set of reels we're going to talk about are Daiwa's all new, I'm going to call them the C80 reels. And these reels are pretty controversial amongst the hardcore Daiwa fans. And the reason why they're controversial is because they are apparently made by a Korean manufacturer named Doyo, the same company or factory that makes the Abu Garcia REVOs, the LEWS, and some Bass Pro Shops reels, and etc, etc. But here's the kicker: apparently they are built in China. I saw a video for a guy who's already got one of these reels and has tested it. His name's Bears G. I'm going to link a video to his review in the description box, and he picked up one of these in a tackle shop, and apparently they're manufactured in China by a Korean company, and that's kind of funny. So it's got the hardcore Daiwa fans in an uproar, but I personally have no opinion. As long as they're, you know, they're good quality and they last and they have a little bit of refinement, then I could care less where they're made. But let's start off with the highest end model of the C80 series. Now, these are all budget minded reels, and Daiwa is trying to really shift their focus, I guess you should say, towards the average American angler. I don't know if these are going to be for sale anywhere else but here in America, but yeah, I'll address that later on. But the first reel is the one that I'm most interested in, and that's the CG80. And CG stands for carbon graphite frame and side plate, and 80 stands for, I guess that's Daiwa's designation for the body size. And apparently these are supposed to be some of the smallest, most compact reels the Daiwa's ever come out with. So let's talk about this red one here called the CG80 again. Now, it only weighs 6.5 ounces. It's going to have a 32mm spool, so that's very interesting that they went to a 32mm spool. It's got a 90mm swept handle. It's going to have 10 bearings, 9 ball bearings and 1 roller bearing. Now, it's only going to come in 1 gear ratio, and that's 7.5 to 1. And it's going to have 15 pounds of max drag. So I'm not sure if I mentioned already, it's only going to weigh 6.5 ounces. I think I did, but oh well. But as you can see, it's a good looking reel, and I think these C80 reels are probably the best looking reels Daiwa's come out with in a long time. They kind of have less of that big gaped mouth look that a lot of these T-wing reels have, that they need to have to accommodate the T-wing line guide. But yeah, it's got good looking knobs and end caps. It's got good looking retainer and nut design, a nice big drag star. So yeah, I'm very interested to see how these perform. Now, since these are made by Doyo or the Korean company, they do not have mag force. They're going to have more than likely something similar to the generic Korean magnetic mag track style braking with the 5 or 6 circular magnets inside, and then of course, as you can see with the outside dial, it's not anywhere near the placement of where MagForce dials usually are. So yeah, now this CG80 is only going to be $99, and that kind of makes you wonder what's going to happen to the FUEGO CT, which is also at $99, which has an aluminum frame, MagForce braking, a bigger spool. Not sure about the drag, but is Daiwa gonna eliminate the FUEGO CT? Who knows? If anyone knows what's gonna happen to that reel, then let me know in the comments, because I have heard that Shimano is discontinuing the CASITAS, which is kind of disappointing, but oh well. Okay, so the next reel is the CG80. I'm sorry, not the CG80, the CR80. Now this reel is, as you can see, it's got the same frame and body. Now the CR stands for carbon resin frame and side plate, and as you can see, it's black with gold accents and a kind of like a dark gray top plate. Now all these reels look like they have, I don't know if that's real metal or not, but on the top plate where you rest your thumb, looks to be a metal piece. And this weighs a little bit heavier at 6.9 ounces. It's got the same spool size, same handle. Now this is actually going to come in 2 different ratios, 6.8 and a 7.5. Now the 7.5, I think these gear ratios are kind of what tipped people off that this was going to be made by Daiwa. Now it's got 2 less bearings than the CG80, 7 ball bearings and 1 roller bearing, but it's going to have the same 15 pounds of max drag. It's a good looking little reel here. Now this is only going to be $80. And the next reel, which is going to be Daiwa's cheapest bait caster that I know of, is the CC80. Now it looks like it's going to be just the black color with some silver accents. There's nothing wrong with that. It's going to have the CC stands for Carbon Concept frame and side plate, 6.9 ounces, same spool and handle size. It's going to have the least amount of bearings at 4 ball bearings and 1 roller bearing, 6.8 to 1 and 7.5 to 1 ratio, and 15 pounds of max drag. So it looks like the only real difference between these 3 reels are what they're made of and the ball bearing count. And other than that, they are pretty much the same specs as far as line capacity, drag, etc., etc., and of course a little bit of a weight loss for the top end CG80. Now I plan on getting a CG80, don't know when, but sometime soon, just to try it out. You know, my curiosity is piqued, and I am going to try that out, maybe even a CC80. So yeah, there we go, the new Daiwa C80 series. Okay guys, it's time to talk about probably the most important reel Daiwa released at this year's Icast, and that is the brand new, all new Daiwa Tatula 100. Now, there's not very many pictures on this reel out on the internet, unfortunately, but the very few I have, you can get a good sense of what this reel is about. Now, this is supposedly the smallest Tatula Daiwa has ever made, and that's something that they're bragging on, that it's a compact 38mm size. And what they mean by that is from the reel seat all the way to the top of the reel is only 38mm. That's going to put it in line with the new LEWS LFS series. Abu Garcia's REVO 4s are really small, and probably even competing with Shimano's 50 and 70 size reels. Now it's going to have an aluminum frame and graphite side plates, because I see no mention of Zion. It's only going to weigh 6.9 ounces. Of course, it's going to keep the T-wing system. And let's talk about the styling. Now, as you can see, this thing looks pretty much like a mini STEEZ. They're giving it a whole new body to mimic the STEEZ, which I think was a good move by them. because it's a good looking reel, something you really couldn't say about previous Tatulas. It's going to have these nice red accents on the sides of the thumb bar. It's going to be matte black, and it's going to have a Tatula spider logo. Fortunately, it's going to be stealth, and you probably really won't see it on that side plate unless you turn it over and the sun reflects on it, unlike that big SLX logo on Shimano's SLX reel. Now, also, as you can see on the palming side plate, they're giving it kind of that STEEZ high-end look, something also shared with the higher-end Zillions. But unfortunately, they did not cover up that MagForce Z dial like they did on the STEEZ and some of those Zillions. And it looks like they're keeping that same MagForce Z dial with the protruding teeth, which was the only thing that I found uncomfortable about the previous Tatulas. But of course, you know, you can't keep giving this thing high-end features for a low-end price. Now, speaking of price, Daiwa keeps lowering the price on the Tatula. This is only going to be $159. Now, to me, that's a smart move because they're taking it out of direct competition price-wise with the CURADO K. So I don't know how much cheaper they can keep making this Tatula in price, but we'll see. Now, one big thing that they added to this that's kind of a high-end feature, I suppose, is they've given it the zero adjuster. Now, the zero adjuster is Daiwa's way of telling you, quit touching this spool tension, just let the MagForce do all the braking for you. I have mixed opinions on that because, you know, in the testing that I do, I found that adjusting that spool tension will give you longer casts in a lot of situations, but I'll save that for a different video. Now, one welcome thing is they've redesigned the knobs. They don't have those ugly T-shaped knobs anymore on this one. This is going to have really good looking flat shaped knobs, and Daiwa calls them soft touch. Now, it's kind of funny. I saw a video with the Daiwa representative talking about this reel, and he accidentally called him Septon, which is a Shimano trademark. That was kind of funny. He slipped up and said Septom. But hopefully these will be as comfortable as the Shimano CURADO knobs. So yeah, this is going to come in at 6.3, 7:1, and 8:1 ratio. I don't know if I said it's only going to weigh 6.9 ounces, so this is going to be the lightest Tatula yet. But this is definitely a reel that's going to be on my radar. And Daiwa says this is a light line baitcaster, well suited for finesse applications. But looking at the mono filament capacity, it says 12 pounds of mono, 150 yards. That doesn't sound like finesse applications to me, but there could be a possibility they really lighten that spool up even lighter than the Type R. So if they did, then this thing should be a pretty decent caster, which I'm going to find out because I do plan on getting one. The Daiwa Tatula 100. So now they have a total of 3 different Tatula sizes: 100, 150, and 200. Okay, so jumping up from the budget scene all the way up to the top dollar high-end scene, Daiwa introduced officially their top-end round baitcaster, the Ryoga. Now, this thing is going to be $600. Well, technically $599. That's a pretty high price. That's $100 more than their supposedly flagship STEEZ model. But let me tell you what you're going to get for your money. Now, this is going to be all aluminum. Both the frame and both side plates are going to be aluminum machine cut. It's going to have a G1 Duralumin 36mm spool. Now, according to Daiwa's website, Duralumin is 1.3 times stronger than standard aircraft grade aluminum and 2 times stronger than magnesium. It's going to have the free floating spool, which basically means the short spool shaft that all high-end Daiwas have. Now, the big news on this is going to have Daiwa's version of micro module gears called the Hyper Mesh gear system. Now, Tackle Tour already did a review on this, and they said that Daiwa's Hyper Mesh system was just as smooth as Shimano's micro module system. It's going to have what they call ultimate tournament drag. Now, it's going to have a total of, I believe that's 13 bearings, if my count is correct. 12 plus 1. Now, the strange thing about this is they're advertising it has mag seal ball bearings. That's Daiwa's trademark. I guess they use some kind of a magnetic oil to seal their ball bearings, but it's only going to have one mag seal ball bearing. I don't know why you would only get one for $600, but it's going to have 10 corrosion resistant ball bearings, one regular ball bearing, and one roller bearing. So that's kind of interesting there. Why would they only give you one mag seal ball bearing, and which ball bearing is it? Now, since this is a round reel, the gear ratios are going to be kind of low at 6.3 to 1 and a 5.4 to 1, which they call their crazy cranker. Now, since this is all aluminum and rugged, heavy-duty stuff, you're looking at 9 ounces for their smaller model, which is the 1016, and then 9.5 ounces for their bigger models, which they call the 1520s. It's going to have a maximum drag of 13.2 pounds. So this is a good looking reel. This is not new for anyone who follows JDM Tackle. This was introduced months ago in Japan, but I don't know if they officially revealed this at the Bassmaster Classic, but I guess they unveiled it here at Icast. Now, they priced this at $50 more than Shimano's Calcutta Conquest, so that's pretty bold. I would love to see a shootout between the two, but according to Tackle Tour, the casting performance on this Ryoga was kind of underwhelming because of, I guess, the MagForce Z braking system. I personally don't see myself getting one of these because I don't think I'm going to get another round reel. But yeah, if I was in the market for another high-end round reel, I'd have to definitely look at this versus a Conquest, because I kind of like the color of the Ryoga better than the Conquest. But there we go, $600. Yeah, the Daiwa Ryoga. Okay guys, so we are going from a $600 round baitcaster to an $800 spinning reel. You heard me right, $800 spinning reel. And this is Daiwa's top of the line EXSENCE LT. And LT stands for light and tough. Now, let's go over this thing. It's a good looking reel, as you can see. This is supposed to house all of Daiwa's latest spinning reel technologies, and this is supposed to go head to head with Shimano's STELLA top of the line spinning reel. The Tackle Tour recently did a shootout between these two, and predictably the EXSENCE won due to certain, I guess, preferences that Tackle Tours always had towards Daiwa reels, but to each their own. So let's go over this lineup, or this list of features. That's going to have an all aluminum monocoque body, tough digigear. Now, strange that they would put the Hyper Mesh gears in the new Ryoga, but not give them to the EXSENCE, especially at this price. And they say it's got mag sealed bearings. I don't know how many. I know there's more than one, going by the info on Daiwa's website. Automatic tournament drag. Now the rotor is ZILLION. They call it the air rotor. Let me just go down this list. ZILLION air rotor, engine plate, newly designed waterproof stopper, new reel foot shape, new air bell shape, 2 ball bearing line, roller, twist buster 2, machine cut handle, high grip, lightweight handle knob, new shape for perfect line stopper, cross wrap, and a carrying case. Now the smallest one of these weighs in at only 5.5 ounces. Now I know a lot of people like to make fun of Shimano for their term Hagani, meaning, you know, metal. Basically anything that's metal Shimano will call Hagani. So if it's got a metal body, they'll call it Hagane body, or of course metal gears are Hagani gears. But Daiwa came up with something, I guess their own little marketing term, and it's called hard bodies with a Z at the end. I think that sounds kind of silly, but oh well, that's their new term for anything, I guess, that's made of metal or aluminum. But yeah, I mean, if you want to fork out the bucks for this thing, according to Tatula, this thing is pretty much equal to STELLA in performance and whatnot. But yeah, $799 all the way to $849. The new Exist LT. Okay, so Daiwa's been on a huge brand new spinning reel kick lately. I know they came out with their whole new, I guess the Tatula series of spinning reels that were announced, I believe, at the Bassmaster Classic, FUEGO, Ballistic. You know, they brought back the light and tough acronyms, but apparently they're not done with releasing spinning reels. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail about these reels, but apparently they have a new reel in the $89.99 to $99.99 price bracket called the Eliminator, and I believe this thing has an aluminum hard bodies body even at this price point, which is good. I don't think Shimano has anything as far as a metal body until you spend at least 200 bucks as far as their spinning reel design, and yeah, they need to address that if they want to keep their spinning reel sales. The Daiwa Revros LT, now this is only $50 to $60, and this is a good looking reel. It reminds me of the that reel that I got from Shimano. I forget the name of it, but you can see it's got like a gold accents with a dark blue body. It's a good looking reel. I like that. It's got the higher end knob end cap, and of course with this you're going to get a graphite frame and body, but for the price I don't think you'll find a better looking spinning reel that I've seen. And then you have the last spinning reel, which it looks to be based off the old Ballistic, the Daiwa Saltist Black Bay spinning reels. I guess this is supposed to be for fresh and saltwater. This is priced at 200 bucks, $199.99, and of course it's got an aluminum body. But yeah, Daiwa's going buck wild with the release of spinning reels, and rightly so, because where I fish, most people use spinning reels. You hardly ever see a guy using bait casting gear. Where I fish, I don't know about everywhere else, but apparently spinning reels dominate the market in sales, and they are focusing on giving you guys a lot of reel for the money. Now, this is one area where Shimano does need to play catch up to Daiwa, is the lower end spinning reel segment. Okay, so that's it for the reels. Let's get to the rods. So as far as rods go, there's only two rods that I found noteworthy. Now the first one was the were the cage rods, cage with a K. Now, there's hardly any pictures of the cage rods. The only ones that I see are on Daiwa's website, and they kind of look minimalistic. Now they call this a premium bass rod, and it looks like it's going to be priced in between the Tatula series and the premium STEEZ series. So that's a kind of a pretty big gap from a Tatula elite rod all the way up to a STEEZ. So I think these are supposed to compete somewhat with Shimano's X Pride series. I don't know the pricing. They don't give any kind of information on that, and there's not even any information listed on Tackle Warehouse as far as price or specifications. But yeah, the cage rods, I guess the information is going to come out soon. Now, the rods that I do have a couple of pictures on are the newly designed Tatula bass rods, and they kind of went away from the JDM styling with the split grip and the detailed forenut. The original Tatula rods, I have one personally. Those were some good looking rods and great value for the money. It's one of my favorite rods, and I don't think I'll ever get rid of my Tatula bait casting rod. Now they kind of did a 180 and went with a full cork grip, kind of like Shimano's CURADO rods, but I think these look better than Shimano's CURADO rods, as they have a little bit more detailing and styling around the forenut, and I like that shiny black reel seat. Now these rods are supposed to have the X45 concept blanks and the Braiding X fiber braiding technology, and I'm reading this from Daiwa's website. I think the Braiding X is similar to Shimano's High Power X X wrapping that you can visibly see where they crisscross the carbon tape in the X pattern. I don't see that on here, but like I said, there's very limited pictures on this rod. But if that's the case, I hope they take that Braiding X all the way up to the tip, instead of just taking it, halfway up like they did with the Chronos rods. So these things, I believe the pricing, either they stay the same or they're actually cheaper than the original Daiwa Tatula rods. Let me check on Tackle Warehouse real quick. Okay, the original Tatula rods were $149.99 to $169, and the new ones, no, they're the same price, $149.99 to $169. I don't know if the Braiding X is going to be enough for me to want to get one of these over my old one. Like I said, the old one is one of my favorite rods, but yeah, these apparently are going to match up perfectly with the new Tatula 100 and the other Tatula reels that apparently are all black. So there we go. Daiwa, they had a pretty big year as far as the lower end market and the higher end market. Now let's talk about the controversy around this year's Icast offerings. Now, a lot of the hardcore Daiwa fans are upset, of course, that they're focusing on the low end, and they did not bring anything as far as mid-range reels go to compete with, let's say, the new Shimano Bantam, something in that price range. Now, apparently the rumors are that the ZILLION SV reels are going to go away, so there's going to be this huge gap from Tatula to, I believe, STEEZ, and that's going to be a couple of $100 gap. Now, are the sales there to warrant having a reel in that price range? We don't know. Only Daiwa knows their sales numbers. So once again, we're gonna have to go back to what I said in my Daiwas you never knew existed video. When you look at Daiwa on the message boards, one big huge message board in particular, whenever you talk about the Tatula or the FUEGO, the best thing you hear these guys talking about these reels is that you can find them cheaper on eBay. You can find them for this much on eBay. You don't hear about the blistering casting distance. You don't hear about the super smoothness or whatnot. You talk about the price. So like I said, Daiwa, they notice these things, and because of this, I think this is exactly why they are resorting to these C80 reels. And not only are they resorting to the C80 reels, they're not even making them in their own Thailand factory. They are contracting it out to a Korean manufacturer that apparently has a plant in China. So, you know, if you're upset that Daiwa is shifting their focus to the low end, then start buying their mid-end reels. Let them know you want those kind of reels by purchasing them. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on this. I'm not saying that these C80 reels are bad. They look really good, and they may perform great, but like I said, if you know, unhappy with the direction, talk with your wallet and not just on the internet. Okay, there we go. Daiwa had a pretty big year. I would say just as big a year as Shimano did at Icast this year. And yeah, I'm going to be going over the remaining manufacturers later on this week, because they also had pretty big years at Icast. Okay guys, thanks a lot.